Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm thrilled to have George Dmitrovic with us today. George is a real estate agent in Kitchener and area. Since entering the real estate field in 2016, George has distinguished himself by selling an average of 50 homes a year at a price of 4% above the market average and closing deals 7 days faster than usual. His commitment to excellence goes beyond the impressive figures. It's about forging personalized strategies through active listening, utilizing advanced online advertising to reach global audience, and ensuring a 5-star experience for every single client. This client-centric approach has not only earned George a stellar Google rating, but also numerous sales awards from his brokerage. Driven by joy of facilitating client real estate dreams, George continues to be a trusted partner in their journey, making their aspiration a tangible reality. Amazing achievements, and welcome to my podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
I have the very first question is actually one of the most popular question in the real estate market. I didn't know, but what is the current real estate market trends? And now we will refer to the Kitchener-Waterloo area because we are in a Kitchener-Waterloo. It's important to our audience to know. And what kind of shifts are you seeing compared to, let's say, last year maybe?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's a very popular question. I get
It
asked that
is.
question
Oh
all
my
the
goodness.
time.
Yeah.
So here in Kitchener-Waterloo, we are seeing the market starting to shift a little bit. It's been like a bit of a roller coaster in the last year, even the last couple of years, but especially the last year. So the biggest trends that we're seeing right now is that the variable rates have been held a few times now. And as a result, since January, we've seen fixed rates start coming down. So there are certain lenders that are offering fixed rates as low as 4.49%. A lot of people are getting 5 to 5.5, whereas a few months ago, you couldn't really get much less than 5.5. Most of them were over 6%. So that has given buyers a little bit of confidence. They feel
A
like
little bit.
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
They're starting to get back in the market. They can afford a little bit more because the fixed mortgage rates have come down like that. And we have seen prices start recovering. So from December to January, we saw prices increase. In February, they dipped a little bit. And now March, we've seen prices increase again. We still have low inventory, so not a lot of homes are selling, not a lot of homes are on the market. And we are seeing multiple offers on certain properties. So it really depends on what you're looking at. Things like the condo market aren't doing as well, but freehold properties, detached single-family homes are doing really well. Those are always popular.
So this is normal for like March, February. So when people are actually selling homes, what is the best period for people to sell homes?
Yeah, well, it's kind of hard to say the best period. The most popular period.
Well, yeah,
is,
probably, yeah.
I would say April to June. So the spring market, everybody talks about the spring market. That's when you're going to see the most homes go on the market. That's when you're going to see a lot of buyer activity. The weather's getting nicer. The days are longer.
I
The
know.
thing with that is, if you're thinking about it from a selling perspective, now you have more competition as well, right? The weather is nicer and everything. But if you look at months like February or March, where there aren't as many homes on the market, but the buyers are still out there, that might be a better time as a seller to kind of the pre-spring market. I find really does a lot better than just waiting for everybody else to hit the market.
I know.
The supply and demand thing.
So it's always like, the downsides. It's like everybody, I mean, it's the best period, but then everybody is actually selling and competing with other people. And it's.
Exactly. So I don't know if I like the term the best time, but it's the most popular.
It's probably, I mean, I'm thinking it's also the landscape piece probably because it's different to see a house in the middle of the winter when it's like a lot of snow, dark days, comparing with like say May or June. Like
exactly, the flowers are
beautiful.
blooming.
Everybody is like more positive, more like it's so different. And I want to go back a bit to the rates you said for the fixed rate, but everybody can actually qualify for the fixed rate, or what's?
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's the same qualification as going for a variable rate mortgage. You have to, the credit report. They look at your debt, they look at your income, and then you decide what do you prefer? So in fact, because the fixed rates are lower, it's probably a little bit easier to qualify for a fixed rate mortgage.
Yeah.
Now, some people, because they're anticipating that rates will start coming down, they want to get a
Exactly.
variable mortgage right
I
now.
know. And then you are fixed for like what, 5 years, and then in maybe 2 years we'll see like the rates going
Yeah.
down. It's always like a roller coaster. And
Mhm.
it's so hard to decide. And I'm pretty sure you get this question often from your clients, what I should do. It's
Mhm.
even hard to even suggest anything to your clients. I'm assuming, right?
It is. It is. It's such a personal decision.
It
It's your
is.
risk tolerance.
Mhm.
What are your plans? How long are you staying at the house,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yes. Yeah.
what happens if the rates don't come down? Are you able to keep making these
Absolutely.
payments? So you got to do the risk
Mhm.
versus reward. Um, Probably the riskier types, maybe investors
Mm,
are leaning towards variable. You can break it easier. There's less penalties for that.
yeah.
Whereas a family, maybe if you got 2, 3 kids, you just
Yeah.
lock in the fixed rate, and maybe you don't have the savings over the next few years, but at least you
Yeah.
know what your month-to-month costs are going to be.
So all in all, you have to ask a lot of questions, and the buyer and the seller, they actually have to ask themselves a lot of questions before
Mhm.
actually making any decision. That's pretty much the role. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing. Let's talk about the offers, because I remember when my husband and I we sold our house 2 years ago. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
it's crazy. We have so many people like coming in. We have like between probably 5 to 8 interest buyers coming
Mhm.
into the house, and then we had the bidding war. So that was
Mhm.
crazy. So what's
Yes.
the situation right now? I'm pretty sure it's not the
Not
same,
the
right?
same. Yeah. So when you sold, that probably would have been what, this kind of early part of 2022 or something like that. So
Mm,
we were seeing, people paying 200,000 over asking. I mean, I remember having a client, she offered
mm,
300,000 over asking, and we didn't get the house. Like, it
yeah.
was just absolutely crazy at the time. So
Mm,
now it's more of a mixed bag. So again, it depends on the property type. Your average property, we're still seeing multiple offers, but
mm,
um, you're not getting the 200,000 over asking,
mm.
150,000. It's more about 50,000 over asking, depending on how it's priced. And
Okay,
then
so
some
it's
of
still
the,
above the price. It's not like it was before. Before,
yeah,
yeah, like 2007 when we bought our house, we
we
actually will pay
pay
less.
under.
We negotiated
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit
exactly.
less.
Negotiate down. So we're seeing some of that as well. It really depends on the pricing strategy that the sellers
Mm,
decide to use. So when I sit down with my clients, we look at it, we look at the different options. So we could price it at what we think it's valued at.
yeah.
But if there's not a lot of competition,
Mhm.
like if there's only a couple of other properties similar to yours, it makes sense to let the buyers decide. Price it a
Yeah.
little low, get everybody through,
Yeah.
let the market decide what the value is.
Yeah.
It's in some ways it's a little more confusing now because some homes are listed at what they want, some are
I
listed lower.
bet. Yeah, and especially someone has to sell their house with the lower price because maybe they have something like urgent they have to do it. Then
Hmm.
he or she will dictate, right, the price
Yeah.
on that street, so that will affect other people.
Yeah, it is both to buy and to sell, and it is a mixed bag. And
It
the
is.
market, especially the last couple of
Mm,
years, it turns so quickly. Like last year,
mm,
from January to June, we saw prices picking up, activity picking up. Everybody
mm,
thought things were going to go crazy again, and then
mm.
the rates increased, and everything just stopped. It was like one week you had 5 offers, next week zero.
Yeah.
So it's so
Uh,
hard to tell, and you kind of touched on it. There's You can't really control the buyer when you're going
no.
through the process, especially as a
Mm,
seller. What you
yeah.
can control is how you present your house, how you market it, the strategy that
Yes.
you use,
Yeah.
and then if you put your best foot forward, then you're going to
Mm,
get the best results for the market at the time. But the
yeah.
market at the end of the day is going to
I
dictate
know.
what's going on.
And I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I see more
Mhm.
and more properties on sponsored postings. So
Yes.
agents are actually paying for advertisements to
Mhm.
promote the listing. And also I like the presentation where they are in the kitchen, the backyard, presenting all the features, which is great, because I mean I love pictures, I love videos, but it's so different when you see somebody explaining to you, this is granite, or this is high
Hmm.
ceiling, or all the details. Some people, they want to know
Yeah.
beforehand. So yeah, I think this is great.
Yeah.
So now it's actually helping me with the next question. What should we take in consideration when we choose a house? What are like perfect? Maybe it's a little bit too much to say, but
Hmm.
what factors should we take in consideration or to prioritize? Probably because
Hmm.
we have to prioritize because we want everything pretty much,
Yeah.
but then we need to learn to prioritize, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll
Mm,
kind of, again, it's going to depend on who the client is, but let's
yeah.
just take your average family. Let's say they have two
Mm,
kids. Factors that you want to look at is, is the neighborhood safe? What are the schools like in the neighborhood? And then from there, you're looking at the size of the house, how many bedrooms. So, if you've got two
mhm.
kids, you probably need 3 bedrooms. If one of you is working from home, perhaps you need 4 bedrooms. And
Yes.
then the big one that I find a lot of buyers really focus on is the number of bathrooms, especially if you have a bigger family. A
Yeah,
house with just one bathroom isn't going to cut it. Most
I
people need
know.
at least one and a half, but I'm finding like two full washrooms
Yes.
is kind of the ideal for your average family.
Yeah, I know. And I know it helps. We have 4 bathrooms. Guess
Yeah,
what? We are
it
using
does.
all. We are 3 people, but we're like using all of them for
Yeah,
some
it
reason.
does.
I don't know how, but yeah, I'm just saying. And I remember because I moved from Romania back in 2005,
Yeah.
and in the beginning we only have one bathroom and
Oh,
2 kids, and I was like, we survived. It was okay, and but we have different standards probably right now. And like you said,
yeah.
when we look to buy or rent a house, this is what we want: at least 2 bathrooms or 3 bathrooms, or
Yes.
but
It has
that
it has
makes
such a huge impact on price. It's one of
yeah.
those things that it doesn't matter how nice your house is. If it's
Mm,
lacking on those bathrooms, a buyer doesn't have a choice but to pass on it because it's
mm,
difficult to add a bathroom if you don't have experience or depending on the floor plans.
yeah,
Um, so I've
I
seen
know.
huge differences in price between a house that has, 2 to 3 bathrooms versus houses
Mm,
that just have one bathroom.
so it's important. Yeah.
The kitchen, I would say, is the biggest selling point, and then you have the number of bathrooms. Your bathroom doesn't have to
Mm,
be, the nicest bathroom in the world,
mm.
but you definitely want to make sure that you've got a nice kitchen.
Oh, you spend so much time in the kitchen. Come on.
I know,
And
right? Nice
when we have
island.
people over, guess what?
Yeah,
Although we have a dining room, we have a living room. Guess what? We're in the
everybody's in the kitchen.
kitchen. It's the
I don't,
most
I don't know what
attractive
it is.
spot in the house when we have people over.
Yeah,
So you want to
yeah.
have a
People
nice
just stand in the
kitchen.
kitchen, and
Yeah. And I
it's
love this concept, like the open concept. Yeah, I
yeah,
just love it. It's so it's inviting. It's inviting to people to be together. Again,
yes,
when I was back home in Romania, I was by myself cooking for so many hours, and while my husband and my kids would be in the other rooms. They were like, it's so different. But when it's
hmm,
like an open concept, that is, you are hanging out with your spouse, with your kids, maybe you have like, your family over. It's
hmm.
just nice. It's just nice.
Yeah. You
And
can have the TV on. Like you don't feel like you're being excluded if you're in the kitchen. You kind of
exactly,
keep
that's the
the
word.
conversation going.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
I
what
love open concept.
so sorry. Yeah. So, what are the essential steps people need to know about when they are thinking of selling or buying a property?
Hmm. Okay.
Mm,
So it's a little bit different for sellers and buyers. For buyers, it's so some people say get pre-approved for a mortgage first. I would
mhm,
say if you know a realtor,
mm,
if you want to reach out to a realtor, get connected with them first because they usually have trusted mortgage brokers
mhm.
that they can work with. It's always easier when everybody has good communication.
I know.
So you got to figure out your budget and your finances. That's the number one thing.
Mhm,
Once you have that figured out, then depending on the realtor you're working with, what we like to do on our team, we do a home buying consultation. So we have your budget. We send you like a little questionnaire where you fill out your needs, your requirements, why are you buying a house?
mm,
And then we actually look at the market, what's going on, get you up to speed. So are there multiple offers for your property types? How many of these homes are available on the market every month?
mm,
Like how long can we expect it to take? And then we also look at recent sales to give you an idea of what
mhm.
is actually available within your budget. Because like you said, sometimes they sell above asking, sometimes they sell below.
Yeah,
So the list price
I
is
know.
not the best indication. But if we look at So if you were buying a home and you had a budget of, let's say, 750 to 800,000, that I would look at in the last 30 days, what has sold within that range,
Mhm.
show you what those pictures look like, and then you can decide for yourself, like, okay, does this fit the criteria that I need? Can I find the home that I'm looking for within this budget? Do we need to
Yeah.
change the location? What do we need to change? So, and then from there, of course, you go out, you start looking at
Yeah.
homes. That's the most exciting part. Writing the offer, fulfilling conditions, and then eventually goes to closing. For
Mhm.
sellers, it's a little bit different. Sellers, I would say, always should connect with the realtor first. Multiple realtors. I suggest people interview at least 2 to 3 different realtors.
That's a good topic,
Um,
actually. Yeah.
yeah, okay, so we can talk on
It
that a
is a
little
good
bit.
topic. Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll devise a strategy for you. They'll help you plan
Mhm.
for how to get your home ready for the market, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So I find it's crucial to get in touch with the realtor, even if you're like 6 months out. That way you can work at your own pace and you make sure you're not making any missteps. Then
Mhm.
once the home goes on the market, it's being advertised, you're getting viewings. Now, viewings from a seller's perspective aren't as fun because you kind of get kicked out of your house for a day, for a
I
weekend, whatever it is.
know.
You hang
I
out at Tim
know.
Hortons a lot, the park.
Yeah.
And then once we have an offer, we negotiate the price. And from there, again, it goes to closing, and on closing date,
Mhm.
everything gets transferred.
What happens when people downsize, for example, or they want to so they want to sell a house and then they want to buy a house. So what we should do first? Should we look for a house first and then sell ours, or should we sell, but then maybe we cannot find a house? So it's always, the eggs and the
Yeah.
chicken. What comes first?
Yeah. So
What should
back in
we?
the day when the market wasn't as crazy, we
Mm-hmm.
had a condition called sale of buyer's property, which meant that you could go out, find your house, and then you would have 30 days to sell your house.
Okay, it's good
And
to
if you
know.
couldn't do it, then you can back out of the offer, get your deposit
Okay.
back.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of went away around 2016, 17 when the market started really picking up. That condition is very difficult to get into an
It
offer
is.
because if you think from a seller's perspective, they probably take less money to not have to wait for 30 days because it's kind of in limbo. So now what I tell
Mhm.
people is it depends on what you're looking to buy. So if what you're looking to buy is very unique, then we
Mm,
should buy your property first because we don't know if we're going to find it in 30 days or in
yeah.
3 months. If what you're looking to buy is more common, more occurring, then we want to sell your house first, give ourselves a longer closing date, say somewhere
Okay.
70 to 90 days, and then we know exactly how much budget we're working with, and we're pretty
Exactly.
confident that we'll find something because you're not
Mhm.
looking, let's say, for a property with acreage or a hobby
Yes,
farm or something
exactly.
like that. So yeah, that's kind of, again, depends
Interesting.
on person to person. Mostly I suggest people just sell first so that you
So
know.
first, because eventually you'll find a place.
Yeah,
And
and if you think about the worst case scenario in
exactly,
this
you can
option,
rent, honestly. Like, I mean,
yeah,
you can rent, or even Airbnb is an option. I know it's more expensive, but if you need to buy
equivalent to
time, like
mortgages.
1 month or 2 months, you should be fine
Yeah.
with Airbnb. And in our area, is not too bad.
No, they're
And
not expensive.
no, the prices are like pretty decent. Yeah.
Mhm. But in all my years selling real estate, I've never had a client that
Okay.
wasn't able to
Oh,
find a home
there you go.
within the
So,
time frame. So it's a
mm,
it's a common concern, but
it
it's actually
is.
not as big of a concern as people think. It's just scary to think that I'll sell my house and I'm not
Mm,
gonna have anywhere to
mm.
live. People find places.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Now, real estate agents offer, and I heard the word lucky because they are making a lot of money, and look at them,
Yeah.
they're making so much money. But it's not quite like that, right? It's different. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of
Mhm.
effort, right? Prospecting,
Yeah.
rejections, time, weekends, no weekends with the family. You can't go on vacation because you have listings, right?
Yes.
How it looks for you? How is your?
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work. Real estate is a lot of hard work, and people often see the end result. They see
Mm,
all the big real estate agents. They don't
mhm,
understand that there's not a lot of real estate agents that make the kind of money that it looks
mhm,
like they're making. About 20% of the agents do 80% of the work. So the other
mhm.
80% usually make slightly above minimum wage, but um, it is a 24/7 job. So like you said, you don't necessarily have your weekends because you're doing open houses, you're doing
Yeah.
showings with people throughout the day. you've got prospecting that you have to do, so
Mm.
calling leads, following up with your active clients, making sure that your listings are doing well, getting back to feedback. It's just
Mhm.
nonstop. You're being pulled in all sorts of different directions,
Yeah.
and often people overlook how difficult it is to compete with other agents as well. We're all competing for the same
No
client.
kidding.
There is a lot of real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents just do it part-time because
Mhm.
it's strictly commission based, and if you're not making sales, you have to pay your bills somehow. So they have another
Mhm.
job, and then they do real estate on the side, which I think makes it very, very difficult
Yeah.
to do
They
so.
got
But
the license, but they're not necessarily working.
yeah,
Um,
they're working very
or
far
very
in
minimum,
between.
they're like like a side. But yeah, I don't think it's the type of work to work aside. In my
No.
opinion, you have to actually do a lot of prospecting and
Mhm.
so by the way, how many rejection do you get when you do like prospecting? Or let's say the first question is how many prospecting are you actually doing every day? About how many
Yeah. So
calls
for
are you making?
myself,
Mm.
every day I try to get about 50 to 100 calls in.
Oh my God. So you are calling 50 to 100 people in a
Yeah,
day.
in
Oh
a
my
day.
God, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So some of these are new leads that we're talking to. Some of these are people that we're following up with that, I've
Mhm.
spoken with a few months ago.
Mhm.
Um, so in terms of rejection,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. It depends on how you define rejection. I don't like to think about it as rejection because
Yeah.
I kind of see my role as I'm connecting with people, seeing if I
Mm.
can help them. I'm
Mm.
not convincing them to buy a house. I'm trying to see if they have a house to sell or if they have a house that they
Yeah.
want to buy.
Yeah.
And a lot of the rejection is people saying, they're not ready right now. They're looking at 6 months, 8 months,
Mhm.
9 months. And then, yeah, there's a lot of people that just don't like being called by strangers. They'll
Yeah.
hang up on you or they'll say something rude to you. So,
Mm. Or they
um,
have a friend or a family member
yeah,
that, or I don't know, somebody suggested somebody else. And
yeah,
I ask you because I know it's hard,
mhm,
and
yeah,
that's the thing. You don't have to take it like personally. It's just, and
hmm,
I read the more rejection you experience, the easier it's getting. So you have to
yeah. It does
practice.
get easier.
You have to practice, getting rejected by potential clients.
Yeah, you don't want
It
to take it personally. You got to
yeah.
put yourself in their shoes as well. Like somebody
Mhm.
stranger is calling you. Like it happens to me all the time. I get sales calls all the time, and
And
I'm obviously rejecting them for one reason or
mm,
another. So, but
yeah.
yeah, and then I guess the better way would be to look at it in terms of success. And
Mhm.
for us, what we're looking for as real estate agents is to set a face-to-face appointment with a potential
Mm.
client, basically an interview for the two
Yeah.
parties. We want to see if we can help them. They want to see if they're going to work with us. So if I
Yeah.
can in a day set 2 appointments like that, I think
Mhm.
that's great success. So two
Oh,
out of
it
100
is.
calls,
Yeah.
um, there's your success rate versus rejection rate.
Yeah, I know. How about open houses?
Mhm.
Because I heard different opinions. Some people say, "Oh, no, it's just waste of time. I don't want to
Mhm.
do any open houses." But other like agents, they want to do open houses. What is your
Mhm.
opinion in that?
Yeah, I think open houses are important.
Hmm.
They're not the most important thing, but they are. I do believe you should still be doing open houses if you're
Okay.
comfortable with it, depending on the type of property that you have, because you can get a lot of people through. So especially in a busier market, you can get a lot of people that come through and see the house. Even if they have an agent, it's fine. It's just it's
Hmm.
limited to a 2 hour window, and you can have multiple groups coming through.
Yeah,
And I
and a lot
find,
of neighbors, I guess, right?
yeah, you get a lot of
Neighbors
neighbors
are
coming through.
curious.
Yeah, they're curious, so that's what people try to avoid. But the neighbors can come through
Yeah.
one way or another. But yeah, certain people don't want their neighbors coming through. From a realtor's perspective, open houses are good in 2 ways. It's a great way to meet potential clients, as well as a great
Yes.
way to market the property, right?
Hmm.
So here you are showing off this house. You're showing off all the marketing that you've done for it, and then people are coming in. So you could either potentially meet buyers that are unrepresented, or when those neighbors that come in, they're probably
Mm.
curious because they might be thinking about selling their
Exactly.
house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that sense, it's beneficial to realtors. And then of course, you get a lot more buyers coming through within that 2 hour time frame. So Open houses, yeah, they get debated a lot. Certain realtors really don't like them, but I don't see why
Well,
not do it.
it's work, right? And most of
Yeah,
them happens when in weekends when
Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4.
that's the other thing, because you work the full week, and then you work in the weekends, and you don't even know if yeah it's actually
Yeah,
helping. But
it's
yeah,
exhausting. Yeah,
it is.
it's like it's not the most important thing. If you don't have an open house, it doesn't mean that your house won't
Oh,
sell.
okay.
But I find, especially in a difficult market, a challenging market like right now, you want to do everything possible to sell the
Exactly.
house. It's just like putting up a for sale sign. That
Mhm.
probably is not enough marketing to sell your house,
Oh
but we still do
no.
it because you never know. Somebody might walk by and see it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. You need to do a bit more work than 2 years ago.
Yeah, it is a lot more work than
Right.
2 years ago. It's a different type of work.
It is.
It's interesting. No matter what the market does, there's always new challenges.
It is. And this is how we learn. This is the way we navigate, right?
Yeah.
It's uh how about somebody change his or her mind
Hmm.
and back out of an offer, for example?
Hmm.
What happens? What are the consequences? So let's say we accept an offer. I accept an offer, but then I say, I don't know, I can't
Hmm.
buy this house, or I can sell this house and buy actually.
Hmm.
What happens? What are the consequences in this situation?
Yeah, exactly. So if it was a firm offer, meaning there were no conditions, so no inspection condition or
Mm,
financing or anything like that, that's a binding agreement. So if you back out, you're basically breaking the contract. You
mm,
could lose your deposit, your security deposit that you put on it, and you could be liable for further damages. So once you back out, the seller has to put their home back on the market, and
yes.
depending on the market conditions, they
Mm,
might not be able to sell it for the same price you paid for it.
mhm.
They might have extra carrying costs. If the closing is delayed by a few months, they got more taxes and insurance and utilities. So you would be liable for all those added costs
Mm.
the seller has. So it's not really a situation that you want to get into, but obviously sometimes it happens. Um,
Yeah, well, again, we don't have control sometimes, and we have to
yeah,
change our minds for
yeah. So
reasons. So
if you're lucky, they sell for more money than what you paid for the house, and
mm,
then the situation looks a little bit better for you. But if they end up
mhm,
selling, if the market turns, they end up selling for 50 to 100,000 less. Um,
mm,
you would be liable to cover their
okay.
losses.
It's good to know. It's good to know.
Yeah.
You mentioned inspection. So who actually pays for the inspection? Is the buyer or the seller? What?
In our market, it's most common for the buyer to pay for the
Okay.
inspection,
Mm,
although sometimes the listing agent will have an inspection done before the home goes on the market. So this is in the GTA, this is really popular. This is more of a
mm,
standard thing in the GTA where the seller or the listing agent pay for home inspection. They have it available for buyers that are walking through the house. Um,
okay.
in our market, it's typically the buyer that pays for it, but some realtors will still have one on file.
But it's mandatory. Should we pay? I mean, should we have an inspection, or it's really up to us to decide? Or
It's up to the buyer to
the
decide. It
buyer?
depends on the house. When you can have an inspection, it is really good to have an inspection. But in certain situations, it's difficult to get that condition in, especially a
Mhm,
couple of years ago. It was difficult to get an offer accepted with any sort of condition in it.
mhm,
So there's ways around it. People that know about houses can kind of look at some big issues. Um,
mhm.
if it's your first home, it might be a little scarier, and you probably want to try and get
Yeah.
it in if you can. There's ways around it if you can't. There's things like we do walkthrough inspections. So before you place an offer, we go through it with an inspector. It's
Mhm.
not like a full inspection, but they just check the main things for you.
The main, yeah.
Yeah. So there's also a lot of things that inspections can't catch that you only find out if you end
Mm.
up ripping out walls and things
Okay.
like that.
So what happens then? So let's say everything seems fine, but then we moved in the house, and then we
Hmm.
discover something actually it's not good. It's not.
Hmm.
What
So
happened in that situation?
if it's something where the previous owners knew about it and they hid it from you, then
Mm,
they would be liable for it. So you have to disclose defects that you're aware about in your house. Let's say you had a crack in the foundation wall and you had
mm,
it fixed. You do have to disclose that there was a crack and that you had it fixed. So if it's something like that and you can find out that the owners were aware of it and they tried to hide it, they will be liable.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's up to the new owners
Mm,
to deal with it. It's kind of, it sucks, but that's just what it is.
I know. Yeah. Good to know, though.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, some people wait for like 6 months in advance to buy or sell their houses. But what is
Mhm.
the normal? Like how many months in advance should
Mhm.
someone start planning or working with an agent if they're
Yeah.
thinking to sell, for example, a house?
So typically, I would say get in touch with your realtor about a month to 2 months before you want to be on the market. Um, it depends also if you have a certain date that you're trying to achieve. So a lot of new people that bought new construction need to be sold by a certain date. I would
Yeah, new
say get in touch with
constructions.
your realtor.
Yes,
uh,
that's a different beast, new construction.
yeah, um, get in touch with your realtor probably about 4 to 5 months before you need to be
Okay.
sold. Just because, if they're doing staging, if they want you to paint anything or any sort of repairs, you just want to have a
Mm,
buffer of time. There's
mhm,
nothing wrong with getting in touch with a realtor sooner, but if you wait, then and everything is rushed, you might not get the result that you're looking for.
Okay. You mentioned in earlier again, you work with a team. If you can tell us a little bit more about you, your team, where are you located, where people can find you?
hmm Yeah, so I have a real estate team called WRX Property Group.
Mhm.
You can find us on Google, just searching WRX Property Group, or our website is wrxpropertygroup.com. So on our team, it's myself and two other real estate agents, and then we also have an operations coordinator that works with us. So it's a full service team. And
Mm.
basically, the idea behind the team is that we want everybody that works with us to have a 5-star experience. So we
And
want to
you
go.
have actually, you do have 5-star experience for your clients. It's
Yes, that's right. If you look up our Google
I
reviews, we
did,
got that
yeah.
5-star rating.
Congratulations. And I know this is not easy. It's not easy. And it's
Yeah.
buying and selling a house is it's a long process. It's not just
hmm
one service. You're not just buying an item and then people gives you like a 5-star review. It's a process.
Yes.
And every single step can be like difficult. And then, like I said, some people are like, they're buying their first house, they got scared,
hmm
and they feel they're not actually helped by the agent, and they give you whatever 2-star review. So
Yeah.
congratulations, because I know it's a lot of like effort and work behind those 5-star reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And our whole thing is we don't want to just look at it as a transaction, like, oh, we sold a house today.
Mm,
We want to build that relationship with our clients. We want to
exactly.
create
Yeah.
lifelong clients, and that
Mm,
involves like the whole process. Once your offer is accepted, we work with your mortgage broker. We have lawyers we can recommend. If issues arise, we can kind of guide you on how to deal with those issues. Kind of like what you said, you bought the house, now you're in, you discover something's wrong. What should we do? Who should we
yeah.
talk to? Do we have contractors? So
Mm,
kind of the whole package when you're working with the team. And that's really what we focus on, is the experience for the clients. And
mhm,
sometimes people work with us for a while and then they decide buying the home is not the right step for them. And that's okay with us. I
mm,
still see those people as lifelong
mhm.
clients because they might have friends to refer. So it's not just about the transactions. And I think that's how we're able to achieve all those 5-star reviews, is because we treat everybody in
Yeah.
such a high regard and try to build that relationship and stay in touch with them, for years
All
after
the
they bought their
time.
house.
I
Yeah,
know. Again, efforts, time, energy. It's a lot.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Any suggestion for our audience? Any word of wise, like to our audience?
Do your homework, do your research. I'm so shocked how often I go into people's houses, and one of the questions that I ask them is, "Did you look me up on Google before I came here?"
And they
And
say
so
no.
many people haven't, and they're interviewing
No,
multiple agents and they
no
haven't. So
way.
really do your homework on the agents, Google them,
Mm,
because one of the things we touched on was how important added advertising is,
mm,
online advertising. And realtors know this. So everybody's going to tell you they're going to advertise their home online. But some agents you look up and you can see that they have this experience. And then other agents you look up and it's like they don't even exist. So
Oh, wow.
are they actually going to do that? So
No.
that's really important. And then again, on Google, there's a lot of list questions to ask real estate agents. Just make sure you're going through the questions because you are interviewing somebody. You're hiring somebody for a job, and maybe you don't have a lot of experience interviewing people.
I know. That's the
jobs.
other thing, right? You want to interview
Yeah.
like real estate agents, but you don't know exactly how to do it, or what do you want to see?
Yeah, what should you be looking for, right?
Yeah,
Like
you just
most,
interviewing, but what's the purpose for interviewing? I know,
yeah, and it's,
you know.
most people sell once every 7 years, if even that. So, and things change. So just do your homework, do a lot of research about whoever's coming to your house, and make sure you have good questions to ask them.
It's the same like when we go on vacation.
Yeah.
But that's funny because people they go and check other people's opinions on
Yeah.
on reviews when they decide to buy tickets, which is like what, $1,000, $2,000. But
Yeah.
selling a house, we are talking like different numbers, honestly, and you're not
Yeah.
checking the reviews. It's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really important. Like do that
Yeah.
homework. This is $1 million transaction for
I
a lot
know.
of people. And not every agent is for everybody, right? There's also personality types. It's like, how do you connect with the
Absolutely.
person?
Yeah.
It really
agree.
depends. So just make sure you have choices. There's a lot of realtors out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
but it is scary for people because they don't know what they're doing and then
Mm,
the person's coming in their house. But the information's out there. You just gotta do your
I know.
homework and ask the tough questions.
I know. George, thank you so much for today. I know you're busy and I really appreciate your time. And I'm pretty sure you will have a lot of views on the video because oh my God, so much information, great information. Like I said, people that don't know where to start or what to expect. And I think this is great. And to be honest, I hope we can do another episode sometimes when, of course, you have time. Yeah, I would be very happy. Thank you again.
Thanks so much for having me. This was awesome.
Of course.